lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Good evening, everybody. What's going on? It is February 24th, 2025, and you are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. It's a movie podcast, in case the word drive-in and speaker box didn't clue you in. But I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we are here. We're here for you another week. It's time. We're back. I just got back from like a city planning commission meeting, so I'm all fired up and spicy. Not even really about movies, but I'm just fired up and spicy in general. So, and now I'm drinking a beer. So beer, dude. All right, cheers to everybody at home that's drinking beers. Thanks for that sub right there over on Twitch, Vince. Cheers.
Yeah.
But if you guys are just tuning into the audio version of this podcast, wherever it is you subscribe to podcasts, you can tune into the live version. It's live every Monday at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. You can find all of our fun links, our Discord, our YouTube Live, Facebook, Twitch, all that shit over on our link tree, driveinspeakerbox.com. This week, I did not get a chance to go see a movie. I wanted to go see Monkey so bad.
I was about to say, we did not get anything.
We just got Monkey, man. And, DJ, there we go. We didn't get much of anything here. I wanted to go see Monkey, but instead, I went to go see a Broadway performance at the Walton Arts Center here locally. I went and saw Book of Mormon for the second time. I've seen it. I saw it once many years ago, and this performance was even better.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you know the guys from South Park behind that one. Matt Stone and Trey Parker. And that thing's like 12 years old. I can't believe how old that show is. But it's a lot of fun, and it was. I had a great time. So I didn't really get to see a new movie in theaters this week. I apologize. I was gonna go try and see Monkey this afternoon, but the latest show, or the earliest show they had, was like 5:45, and I would have not been able to make it here in time. Nor would I have gone to the Planning Commission meeting, which is out here trying to save the world. But did you see anything this week, Jake?
I didn't watch anything released this week because the only things we had was Monkey. That's a horror movie. Y'all know that ain't my scene. And then I think we got Unbreakable Boy or Invincible Boy or whatever that was, but it had of little interest. So I watched Becoming Led Zeppelin.
And you watched that last week.
Yeah,
but,
I was prepped to tell you guys about that last week, and then
so we'll be talking about that this week.
Stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
They took my money first, so I couldn't leave.
That's how they do it.
Yep.
That's how they do it, because they know they got you once they got your money.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince over on Twitch said 14 years since the premiere of Book of Mormon. I cannot even believe that. That is just bananas. But we've got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Obviously, some new movies come out this week in theaters, which we are going to let you guys in on. But let's hit some of that. Let's hit some of that news, man. I don't know if you guys read about this, but I'm kind of interested in this because The Dark Tower is cool. I don't care what you guys said about that movie that should have been cool with Idris Elba and wasn't.
There was parts of it that were cool.
Yeah, but as a whole, it wasn't as cool as it should have been, considering how cool The Dark Tower is.
I was about to say, for people that read the books, they just absolutely hated every single ounce of it.
This guy.
But for someone who just wanted to see McConaughey and Idris Elba on a movie screen being...
Hey, I'm Satan, man.
A devil and a cowboy. I thought, I was like, those parts are kind of cool.
And I will give him that. That was pretty cool. But I mean, it was
because you don't see McConaughey as a bad guy.
And he was great as he was. That was a really good casting. But the problem is that book, that series, it's just too big to put into a feature-length film. But Stephen King is back writing material for a Dark Tower series, which I would have turned my nose up at, even though I think Stephen King's works tend to make really, really good series like The Stand and It, of course, the first iteration of It. But they got Mike Flanagan Dude, Mike Flanagan is going to be doing a Dark Tower series with Stephen King writing it, and I couldn't be more excited about that.
So, but a movie series or like a
Mike
TV
Flanagan
series?
does TV series.
Yeah.
So this is good. The 2017 film obviously didn't get great, but they had teased about Flanagan doing a Dark Tower series a while, but I think it's finally happening. There was Flanagan mentioned this week in the Hollywood Reporter. Said that it's going on, and they were talking about like James Wan taking a crack at The Stand, but I think this is going to be like an Amazon Prime thing, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, man, it was announced at IGN Fan Fest. Stephen King talked about it. It got brought up when they were talking about The Monkey, and dude, quote Stephen King here. He said, "All I can say is that it's happening. I'm writing stuff now, and I think that's all I want to say, because the next thing you know, it'll stir up a bunch of stuff that I don't necessarily want to stir up yet, but I'm in the process, and I just don't want to jinx it yet." So, cool, man. So, as Dina said over on Twitch, dang, Mike Flanagan has skills, which he does, and I think that could be good. Jake, you got anything over there?
Yeah, man. We got a couple things. Lots of big streaming news. First off, right here in front of me is if you did not go watch the Lord of the Rings anime, the War of the Rohirrim, which we know that you didn't, because I was about the only one that did. You can watch it on Max starting this Friday. It took longer to hit that than what I thought it would. I think they wanted to just kind of hold out until award season bullshit's done or whatever, or in the middle of it. When is it? Did they already do them, or they're still thinking about it? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But this Friday, you can start watching the War of the Rohirrim on Max if that's something that you still have any kind of desire to watch. If you care about Lord of the Rings, lore or history or anything that Tolkien did, very little in this movie will be for you.
Yep.
They found a way to shoehorn in a whole bunch of bullshit. You get like one cool thing of like Helm Hammerhand. It's mostly like Easter eggs that aren't hidden for you to be like, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. That voice is familiar. But really, it's whatever. But it'll be there. You can watch on Max. Which, talking Max and its properties, DC stuff. Or related properties, the Warner Brothers stuff.
I had some DC news that I wanted to drop.
Well, I'll just toss mine out real quick, which is that the not too long ago announced Sergeant Rock project, the movie they had, Daniel Craig's name has been removed from that. So he's stepped away from potentially starring in the Sergeant Rock movie, which, as great of an actor as Daniel Craig can be, and as many different characters from as many different places as he can be.
I'm just a Georgia lawyer, action detective.
Exactly. Dude, I like that. I like the Knives Out guy, especially in Glass Onion, where he's like, it's just stupid, because he's talking about those movies.
Yes.
But they are dumb fun, at least. Especially Knives Out as opposed to
Who doesn't
Glass
like
Onion.
a whodunit?
But just because Chris Evans as a dickhole was entertaining. But so he's stepped away from the Sergeant Rock project. Hopefully that means they can bring in someone that's like more Sergeant Rock, because a live action Sergeant Rock could be really, really cool if they don't give it the Marvel treatment like they did with the Howling Commandos, because they were just like, oh, these guys in the background that we're not going to mention at all, those are the Howling Commandos. Also, Nick Fury is inexplicably not part of them, because Nick Fury's Sam Jackson now instead of real Nick Fury.
Right.
That's a whole comic book discussion to have right there that I probably shouldn't have said anything about. But I've been reading comics since the 90s. Anyhow, yeah.
You know,
so
I walked inside Rock Bottom Comics for the first time in a long time just the other day.
Yeah.
And man, it's just a cool place to walk into. Like, it smells good. Someone's like,
yeah, Velvet Santa, David Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, USA Network movie. That's good stuff.
oh yeah, I remember that.
That's good stuff. That's a real cigar smoking Nick Fury. That's how it should be. But yeah, so we'll see where Sergeant Rock goes. It's not supposed to start filming till later this year, later in the year of this year. So they still have probably 8 months before they have to really worry about who they're going to nail down for this stuff.
Well, back on the DC train, I meant to get this out when I was talking about Mike Flanagan, but this news, I thought this was pretty cool. But speaking of Mike Flanagan, speaking of DC, there was this week news about the Clayface movie, right? And it's already written, script from Flanagan, okay? We've got a script from him, directed by James Watkins, right? So another good horror director, and James Gunn has confirmed that this is going to be an R-rated body horror film centered around Clayface, written by Mike Flanagan, directed by James Watkins. What the hell?
Live action?
Yeah. Which I think is going to be pretty wild. You know, I think that Clayface is just so ripe for body horror anyway, because that's pretty much what he is, especially if they kind of take like that Darkman style approach to, you know,
where the transformation drives him nuts and he's just pissed at everyone.
But I think that this could be cool, man. I think that maybe, I think James Wan was right with his direction with Swamp Thing, but it came out too soon, and people think DC doesn't know where it's going, right? Nobody knows what the fuck's going on with DC, and I think this could be a potentially really cool move to take a character that a lot of people enjoy, but he can go in a lot of different ways. I mean, you've seen him be portrayed in two different flavors by Alan Tudyk, and in the animated stuff. But I mean, Clayface is a really, really interesting character, and dude, as an R-rated, give us more R-rated movies that aren't just about making fun of ding-dongs and stabbing.
Isn't really that interesting, though.
But he can be. I think he could be a really cool psychological, like, body horror, because it's an origin story, and it could like drive him crazy, you know.
Yeah, but man, I used to read quite a bit of Batman comics, and Clayface is always just, he's the mask in Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah.
Because every time they're like, oh, someone died, and they're like, no, it was just Clayface and he's fine. Or they're like, oh, actually that wasn't Clayface, that was a piece of Clayface, so it doesn't really matter, just depending on what power they want to give them at the time. Velvet Santa, Aubrey Plaza should not be Zatanna. Take that. You get rid of that statement right now.
Although I will watch Aubrey Plaza do anything. She could eat French fries. I mean, like, all right, cool, sign me up.
Well, and so for the DC and the Daniel Craig thing too, in relation to that, for a different streaming service, Amazon has announced that Prime Studios has taken over the creative control. They've officially taken creative control of James Bond. So
I saw that as well.
They set up a production house with the longtime producers. Well, one of them had been doing production on James Bond for 60 years. And they have it where now Prime Video is the one in charge of James Bond, which with Amazon's production requirements and standards means that we're going to get some really weird James Bond movies that are not going to be so James Bondy.
I mean, at this point, if you go back and you watch James Bond as a body of work, right? You watch like Moonraker and Octopussy.
Yeah, the silly ones. Those are the best ones.
And then you go back to, the ones that are new, that are just like, I'm a broken man with broken heart and the world's against me, standard issue.
The
like
Daniel
Jason
Craig
Bourne
ones are
shit.
far from.
But they're still good.
Yeah. Well, except for the nut smacking with the rope thing. From Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Could've
Or
done
everything about the only thing about
Could have
Casino,
done without that.
I could have done without Casino Royale. Like Mads Mikkelsen helped to get that movie a pass because
he was the dude smacking him in the nuts.
I know. And I love Mads Mikkelsen. I wish that he could have been a different Bond villain, but Casino Royale was one of the stupidest Bond movies ever. And that was like right at the time when Texas Hold'em was like on every fucking channel.
Hold on. The Woody Allen Casino Royale is a really good James
bunch of
Bond
underage
movie.
Asian girls in there. Like I don't remember this one.
I don't remember seeing that. No, it was like a comedy version. It was a comedy James Bond. It was really good.
All the early ones comedies?
No, like this one was a true comedy, not a
Like
silly
Austin Powers-esque.
kind of.
Okay.
Not a silly action movie because 60s, but
Yeah.
like it truly filmed as a comedy. You've never seen this?
I don't think so.
It's really, really good.
Well, and I'm not married to Bond. I don't. To me, Bond isn't sacred because there's how many movies? 29. How many?
I don't know.
I'm not fact checking. I'm just going off the dome. I know it's a bunch, but is it really sacred when everybody's like, "Oh my God, Idris Elba, there's no black Bond"? I'm like, give me an Idris Elba Bond. I'd take that all day. Like, let's go. I'll take Luther Bond, and you can make that character whatever. I think. It's been played by...
I like Idris Elba, and I've heard people talk about that so many times, and he's just not Bond.
He's not suave enough to be Bond, but I'd take it. He's badass enough to be Bond. He's just not suave enough.
Yeah, okay. So the action part, as far as a character like that, maybe, but the attitude that he's never had like a character that's able to fit how James Bond needs to be as a complete character.
Well, and I don't think there's ever been a complete Bond. You go back,
Sean Connery.
but he's not very. I mean, I guess back in those days he could pull off the action. And
Dude, there's
suave.
the stories from on set where like a real life mobster came to a set of a movie with Sean Connery, and he's like, "Oh, so you're the guy that's supposed to be like macking on my girlfriend in this movie?" And Connery's like, "Yeah, hey, what's up? I'm Sean Connery." And he was like, "Screw you, dude." So Sean Connery knocked that dude the fuck out because Sean Connery in real life was like a kind of an action dude.
So I guess
because he's Scottish, bro.
I guess the two Bonds that I could buy as the combination of suave and fisticuffs would be Daniel Craig and Sean Connery. They're both suave. They're both fisticuffs. Pierce Brosnan
I was about to say, what about Pierce Brosnan?
He's
bro?
all suave. I don't buy him as... I never buy him.
Timothy Dalton?
He's all brawn, no suave.
Whoa, dude, have you ever seen friggin' Flash Gordon, my guy?
All-
He's the suave prince. He's the suave. Have you not seen friggin' Rocketeer?
Again, all brawn, no suave.
No, dude.
But as okay, so
I feel
that's
like
my
you've
vote.
never seen a fucking James Bond movie ever.
No, I have, and I think Roger Moore, again, all suave, no brawn. Timothy Dalton, all brawn, no suave. Sean Connery,
you're right.
both.
Roger
Daniel Craig,
Moore,
both.
Roger Moore is all suave and attitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because his he was always like the bonk on the noggin or something like that.
Or like chop.
Yeah, but also Roger Moore was the one that had to deal with Jaws.
That's true.
Roger Moore, yeah. See,
Or
yeah.
this one, boop, where they
Yeah.
pinch the nerve. But there's very rare like Bonds either go one way or the other. We don't. It's rare that we get the combo of both. So I feel like that's why he's not sacred. I mean, we've seen him played by what, like 6, 7, 8 guys, and out of those 8, only 2 were like the whole package. I don't come at me with like David Niven, what? And like, whatever. Casino Royale sucked both times.
27 movies.
Yeah,
From Russia with Love video game is really good. GoldenEye is a fun game. There was one of the other Pierce Brosnan ones. From Russia with Love, where you get to do the tank rolling down the street part of it. That was really good.
I don't know nothing about that.
No, what the Pierce Brosnan one is where he goes in the tank. Tomorrow Never Dies, or whichever one it is. Seen Hot Fuzz.
Never.
It's not for no reason, Vince. It's because friggin'. So my grandpa loved James Bond movies. He owned every one of them. As soon as a new James Bond movie would come out, he would have it in the collection. I sat, and entertainment for me as a child at my grandparents' house was watching Star Wars trilogy
And James
over
Bond.
and over, and James Bond over and over. And dude, and that's just things that I've seen so many times, and
It's movies for guys who like movies.
Roger
right?
Moore was
TBS?
his favorite. Like, he liked
All
Roger
suave,
Moore the best.
All suave, no muscle.
I've always liked Connery the best.
Oh, dude, Al Topich on Twitch coming in with a hot take. I hope we get a Bond cinematic universe with spin-off films about side characters like Miss Moneypenny, Felix Leiter, Q, and Jaws. Why?
So,
I think this is
Jaws
right for a
stuff would be cool.
multiverse. Multiverse Bonds.
It's just you can't do Q and Jaws because they're gone.
But multiverse ones, we could open this up like Marvel, crack the lid on it and be like, well, actually, there's a multiverse and all of these James Bonds are James Bonds. And then we could CGI like Barry Nelson's face on somebody, and then Roger Moore could come boop like, I
like the
CGI
idea
Jaws.
better before the Daniel Craig one where they gave him his like weird background. That
There could be one that's like a rabbit.
the name and the number just followed whoever became that. Like James Bond was an identity given by
Like a Dread Pirate Roberts.
yeah.
Because that's multiverse-esque. It's like you got, you're taking the jersey. But I don't know. Bond's not sacred to me, guys. I don't think
Well,
that.
you're wrong for that.
Yeah, well, color me wrong.
There's like traveling museums and so many things set up that are all dedicated to that because of the global cultural impact that Bond has carried. Plus, it's based on like real people.
Al Topich says that would open it up to a female Bond. I'm not against a female Bond, especially
what the fuck?
Especially if we're to follow the fact that
Well,
if
now that it's
007 is
Amazon.
if 007 is just a code name for a person, it doesn't necessarily, it could be a wheelchair lady.
Now that it's Amazon, it can be. It'll be the little sister from Wicked, and she'll be fucking Bond all day.
You threw in the wheelchair there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a Q wheelchair, and it's just like oil
Anyhow.
slickens and like missiles and just
Jeez.
like
Yeah,
and it's
Bond's
like-
worst enemy, a set of stairs, fucking has the grapple cord up. Yeah, let's move away from this before we get in trouble for something. Hey,
88 compliance.
speaking of other things from my childhood that the world just has to kick in the crotch as many times as they can, Narnia. It will be getting its theatrical release next
speaking
year.
of things that aren't politically charging, Christianity. Let's talk about that one.
Hey, some of it. But listen, it gets its theatrical release next Thanksgiving, 2026. It's coming out in IMAX theaters, followed by its Netflix release in December, just right after. And there was an interview with the CEO of IMAX, and he let it known that there are, he thinks, 8 movies that are going to be made of this.
Of Narnia?
Now there's 7 books, and they're talking about 8 movies, and that
Are they
makes
gonna
me feel
split
like
the
they're
last one into
do
2
like a
or
Harry
whatever?
Potter thing, have the last battle split. Yeah, because The Horse and His Boy probably won't be something that would be more than one movie. Prince Caspian's probably not something that would need to be more than one movie. They're probably going to do it with Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, since that's like the most well known of the books.
Yeah, that's true.
but-
Everybody knows that one.
If they're making that many, I do hope that they are beginning the series with the first book, that they're doing The Magician's Nephew first and introducing the world and having the creation of the world and having Aslan roar that motherfucker into existence and have like all the cool shit from The Magician's Nephew that makes a lot of Narnia really cool. Instead of having little Turkish delight eating butthole kids, they're like, but the witch promised me sugar, so of course I betrayed my immediate family, and then we lived our entire lifetimes within the cupboard, and we came out of the wardrobe, and we were children again, having lived 80 years as kings and queens, and now we're going to treat everyone in the real world like crap. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is not as good as everyone may sound, but you know what? The Magician's Nephew, fuck's hard.
Oh, Mark Landry on YouTube says, "Give me that Voyage of the Dawn Treader."
Yeah, see, stuff like that, man. The books that people that only have read them know the titles of, you know what I'm saying? Which, yeah, I mean, if they do those, that would be really cool. We can probably just skip.
And Chick-fil-A will have so many opportunities for kids' meals for the next. They don't have to keep relying on VeggieTales.
Yeah.
You know? All those lines down the street that are blocking traffic in the drive-thru, you can get new kids' meals. I want that Voyage of the Dawn Treader chicken nugget combo. Voyage of the Nug Treader. Or the Nug Eater. Yeah. And then they could have like the Ice Queen Frosty. And yeah, dude.
James asked if there's anything more unsatisfying than walking out of a movie when it's half over. Probably not many. That's like, well, going to the Wicked thing from a second ago. It was not advertised as being only the first half. And so when I went and watched that and it like ended and they're like, come back for more later. I was like, I sat through that long of this.
Or what was that cowboy movie
resolution?
That was 70 hours that you went and saw that we're never going to see the other?
That's not true. Kevin Costner's.
Yeah, well, what was it called? We don't even remember because it was so...
No, I remember because it's in the news all the time. It's been kicking super ass. Horizon.
Correct, yeah.
It's been kicking ass on streaming, and like part 2 is happening. But it's, yeah, it probably won't have a theatrical release unless they're like, well, now that people know, maybe they'll go watch it. It was good. It was really good. And it's an opening. It's not leaving off on cliffhangers, or it's not leaving off.
Are you saying that only because you liked
resolution? No, because they design it where it's not like there's a lack of resolution. Everyone's setting up for their like next adventure. It's not like cutting off in the middle of it. You know, it's kind of like a Young Guns and a Young Guns 2 type situation. You know what I'm saying?
Aren't they talking about making another Young Guns, which I guess would just be like elderly guns?
Yeah, old guns.
Yeah, retired guns, geriatric guns.
Inexplicably alive Billy the Kid.
Rusty guns. It was no longer Billy the Kid. It's like Billy the Granddad.
Well, you know what? Speaking of dumbass streaming things and whatnot, Extraction. You know those 2 movies they made with Chris Hemsworth, and in the second one he's on that train.
Is that the one where he's like the hacker guy?
No, it's where he's like the super soldier. Like he's like the he is the extraction team. Yeah. And in the second one he goes to rescue that guy's like family from a prison or something, and the helicopter just shoots the hell out of this train, and so he goes, think thin, and stands behind that
bullets
post,
are magic,
and the bullets are just passing right through him like nothing. Yeah, it's getting a TV series now. So
yay.
Netflix. Yeah, Black Hat is the one with the hacker. Thanks, Vince. But that's the one where he it's not going to be Chris Hemsworth in the TV series. It's going to be a different guy doing the same thing.
Of course. Why didn't he get his other Hemsworth brothers going to be in Witcher?
Well, but there is going to be a third Extraction movie, so the character that Hemsworth plays will continue to be like the Extraction movie, but there's also going to be the Extraction TV series now. Or Netflix series.
Extract me from all
I guess you can't call it a
this.
TV series. Which also Netflix, following the success here of the Secret Level animations, which included things like Warhammer and oh crap,
the other one.
There was a bunch of. It's all video games. There's Pac-Man and the one I'm trying to think of, which is Unreal Tournament.
That's getting a show.
No, it had a Secret Level episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But what's getting a live action movie is Sifu, which had a Secret Level episode. Sifu is a game where you play like a kung fu guy, and his master gets killed in front of him, and so he goes to fight the people. And if you play the game well enough, then you stay as a young man and make it to the end. But every time you lose and die, older. You get a little older. So you like learn and get older, and then you come back. And in the Secret Level, that's what he would just charge headlong into fights and get stabbed or killed over and over. And by the time he was facing like the guy that had killed his teacher dude, he had like in the matter of 30 minutes become like a 80-year-old man, But
Okay.
so they're making a live action movie of that, directed by Chad Stahelski,
Oh,
who did John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
So
Speaking of karate stuff, new episodes of Cobra Kai hit Netflix this week. This weekend, I watched the first two.
I thought they came out back on the 13th.
Well, there's 2 new episodes right now.
Are they releasing them single episodes?
I don't know. I just watched the first 2.
Because I thought it was supposed to be the last half of the final season, and it was all being released as the half.
I don't know. I just watched the first 2 episodes yesterday. So, or the first 2 episodes of the last half.
Velvet Santa asked if Sifu's like Highlander. No, because Highlander, they don't die. They just heal, and the only way they can die is if their head gets chopped off. Sifu is like he dies, and then he relives what happens, and then ages in that relive period while he masters what he can do to get through that situation until he dies again. And he can only be reborn so many times, because at some point he'll do the Indiana Jones thing and just go, "Ah!" like turn to dust or whatever. So yeah, that'll be there. Also, George R.R. Martin announced that there is an Elden Ring movie in the works. So
Okay.
more video game stuff there. I think he said that he's going to stay out of it as far as like involvement, like he did with Game of Thrones, which is probably a great announcement for people who are still fans of the Game of Thrones books or wanting to be friends of the Song of Ice and Fire novels, because he has 1 or 2 more that he needs to get out there, and people have been waiting. They waited through the entire ruining of the Game of Thrones series, so he needs to finish that shit up and not be worrying about other projects. We also got an announcement of when you can start watching Love Hurts, which you talked about 2 weeks ago. The Ke Kwan movie. It will be it's available to buy or rent starting tomorrow, and then will be available on physical media on April Fool's Day. So that one's hitting digital screens pretty quick. No word on anything about like free streaming, quote
unquote.
Yeah, the monthly pay streaming, but
Ad riddled insanity.
Yeah, but you can buy or rent it tomorrow, and then also coming out tomorrow for streaming, free in quotation / monthly pay. You can watch that September 5th movie about the hostage situation and all that.
I wanted to see that.
Well, you can watch it on Paramount Plus,
Which I don't have.
Well, if you have a Walmart Plus membership, don't you get Paramount with ads?
Yeah, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Like I tried, and it was just like ad.
Just like
and I'm
watching TV.
Forget it.
So that one's available to watch on Paramount. You can watch it at home right now. It was on VOD back on the 5th of February.
Oh, okay.
So it's been on VOD for the whole month. It'll just be now you can watch it on Paramount Plus without having to pay $20 to watch it at home.
Right on.
And then the last little bit that I had here. We got a Clown in a Cornfield trailer. Have you seen this?
No.
Shudder released a red band trailer for a new horror movie called Clown in a Cornfield.
Okay. Is this Ronald McDonald
That's
horrorverse?
I don't know, but that's going to be going to South by Southwest on March 10th, and then available in theaters May the 9th.
Well,
but it's about a clown named Friendo who stalks a cornfield and kills people.
that's a pretty good transition to one of the movies that's coming out this week.
All right, well, not to ruin that, but we got a small teaser image of live-action He-Man. It's a muscle chest holding the sword. It's
last week I
not
showed
worth looking up.
on-set image of Prince Adam,
No.
and he looked stupid. But speaking of like weird horror movies that are coming out this week, we are getting the release of I Heart Willie, This, of course, following in the footsteps of Pooh, Blood, and Honey as these Disney characters hit public domain. We talked about this a couple years ago where Steamboat Willie was about to hit public domain. And, of course, not long after, we got I Heart Willie, which is about an obsessed psychopath leading her friends into a deadly mousetrap where pure evil seeks to harvest their skin in this horrific origin story of the most beloved cartoon character of modern time, which just looks really stupid. I mean, it looks extra stupid. It's just this dude.
It's the meme face.
Yeah, it's just some dude and ripped up dude wearing the meme Mickey Mouse mask and killing people.
That's not at all what's on that poster.
I mean, it's just so lowest common denominator effort here. But they're like, well, we can use Mickey Mouse the mask, so we're barely gonna try hard, but people are gonna go see it because we're wearing the mask. That's coming out. Whether or not it's going to hit a theater near you is debatable, but it is getting released. It'll probably hit VOD pretty quickly. We also have probably the largest release coming out this week in theaters is the based on an extraordinary true story directed by Alex Parkinson and written by Mitchell LaFortune and Alex Parkinson. It's Last Breath. Which stars Woody Harrelson, Simu Liu, Finn Cole, and Cliff Curtis. You've seen the trailer. It's this deep sea divers. A huge storm happens, and there's a crewmate that's trapped like hundreds of feet below. Like this,
it's like two of them.
Yeah, and they're trying to rescue them despite like losing power and the ocean being scary and insane, just as a concept. Like the ocean is yikes, man. What the hell? Why would? I mean, I understand the need for underwater exploration, but at a certain point, good God, how terrifying would that be? Like I saw Abyss.
Yeah,
you know,
and you ain't gonna have aliens that you can befriend.
No, it's just you're gonna just die probably.
Well, and I mean, one thing about Abyss is don't piss the aliens off, because then the whole world becomes the Abyss.
True life. But Last Breath coming out in theaters this week. Also coming out in theaters this week, probably limited release. It's my dead friend Zoe. It's about a mysterious relationship, a dead best friend from the army. This female Afghanistani veteran comes to head-to-head with her Vietnam vet grandfather at this lake house, and they kind of talk about like PTSD and seeing ghosts, and it's got a pretty interesting cast. Ed Harris and Morgan Freeman are both in this, of course, you know, playing grumpy old dudes that were probably in the military. But you got Natalie Morales and Sonequa Martin Green also playing in the lead roles in this. I mean, I watched the trailer earlier today. It looks kind of interesting. It's got some olive branches. It did well at South by this past year, so could be pretty good. It's got some good early reviews out there, and I mean, you know, who doesn't like watching Morgan Freeman just do anything? Like, he's super cool. A lot of good Rotten Tomatoes scores on this one too, so that one's coming out. And another weird one with Ed Harris. He must just need money for like medical bills.
This is the week of Ed Harris.
Yeah, but it's from director Dito Montiel and written by John Polano. It is called Riff Raff, and this has a ensemble cast. It's a crime comedy about this former criminal trying to lead an ordinary life. It gets turned upside down when his old family shows up for a long-awaited reunion. And this family consists of Jennifer Coolidge, Ed Harris, Bill Murray, Pete Davidson. I mean, you've got some big heavy hitters in terms of just on-screen comedy and just presence. I mean, you know, Jennifer Coolidge and Bill Murray alone are going to sell tickets to this. And then you got the young crowd going, oh, Pete Davidson. Isn't he getting like all his tattoos like zapped or something? Or I don't know. I
couldn't tell you.
I don't follow a lot of Pete Davidson news. But then more Ed Harris. If you needed a rock block of Ed Harris this week, you can totally.
That'd be something to just go watch all of his movies.
Just playing an angry butthole. He does it so well. But Riff Raff coming out in theaters this week.
He doesn't always play Sometimes he can
He could be a lovable
He can go
butthole.
from being angry to unangry, like in Abyss.
Like in Abyss. Yeah.
Or like in National Treasure. Like National Treasure 2. Because at the end, he's like...
Wasn't he also in The Rock?
Was he?
Was he in The Rock? I feel like
Was
every
he-
military movie...
Was he the leader of the bad guys in The
I
Rock?
feel like, I don't know. Maybe.
I can't remember.
But Ed Harris always
Is he
plays
the
that
one
guy.
that Nicolas Cage was like, "I'll drop the green balls"? Was that? It was. He was.
think it was.
He was like the general or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
He's always like the angry general that you don't want to cross, man. Like that's like what his deal is. I mean, he was the pissed off like NASA dude in Apollo 13. He's just like, he's just a...
Oh yeah, dude. Look, Truman Show. I forget. He gets so pissed in that one too. He's an angry dude.
And in Geostorm, remember? We went and did we see Geostorm?
Yeah, we watched Geostorm. Truman Show's opposite. He starts out as a chill dude that becomes a super angry dude.
Like Snowpiercer, he's like an angry dude.
Because his whole thing was he wanted that like live conception to happen. He's like, I'm trying to film a 30-year-long porno here, people. And he gets so mad that Truman sails away because he tries to murder him. He's like, kill him on TV. I want to see him dead in the water. Yeah, I forgot about all that.
The Firm. He's angry. And
What a great actor.
He's always angry and always great. But yeah, that's coming out in theaters. And probably last, but definitely not least, most likely going to be in limited release, Cold Wallet. It is produced, maybe executive produced by Steven Soderbergh. He's not really in a writer-director credit here, but it's this weird little movie about these Redditors that lose a whole bunch after money after a cryptocurrency scam. It leads them to this kind of plot to kidnap this financial influencer who screwed them over. But of course, as all things go, they go awry, and just looks like an odd, one of those series of unfortunate events.
You could double a feature it with that Reddit, with the movie about the guy that did the GameStop stock.
The Stonks, Diamond Hands. Yeah, I did see that movie. Wasn't Steven Soderbergh involved in that one? I don't remember, but yeah, I did watch that one. I saw that in the theater. Yeah, interesting. Mark Lander on YouTube asks, have you ever heard the fan theory that The Rock, Sean Connery, is actually James Bond and he was disappeared by his own government? You gotta love some of these fan theories. They're pretty amazing.
I think he says that he was a thief in that, though, doesn't he? Like
Sean Connery?
Yeah, Sean Connery's character.
Well, I mean, James Bond could be a thief.
Yeah, but no, I mean, he was supposed to be like, it don't matter.
Well, anyway, that's what's coming out in theaters this week. You can check out any of those movies wherever they are nearby with you or on video demand. Some of these things are probably going to hit streaming pretty quick. But with that said, since I didn't see any new movies this week, and Jake saw Becoming Led Zeppelin last week, let's talk about it.
Now that it was available outside of the IMAX theater, which I know I had talked about before because we, when you announced it was coming in theaters, I was like, well, we had it in IMAX. They released it in IMAX first, and then it went to regular theaters. And it was definitely not necessary to watch this in IMAX.
Do you just need to see an elderly Robert Plant that big on the screen?
There's no visuals provided in footage from 60 some odd years ago or whatever
They could really translate over to IMAX.
that had any need of being IMAX. So the movie is exactly the title.
I feel like it would have been a more appropriate, like Atmos, if they wanted to sell
yes,
Atmos.
and that's what I said. Yeah. That's what I said last time. Was if it was an Atmos, that would be perfect because the sound is there. If it was THX, that would be perfect because the sound is there. But there's not anything visual that needs to be represented via IMAX. But so Becoming Led Zeppelin is a documentary. It is the story of the members of Led Zeppelin and how they became that band, with new interviews with Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, and John Paul Jones, and never before released audio from interviews with John Bonham.
Oh, Oh, okay.
So, and they played these interviews, and the other members of Led Zeppelin had not heard some of these interviews.
Oh, shit. And so they're like reacting to
Yeah,
it? Or?
because it was something that like a reporter had recorded to then take their notes and put in a printed form. But it was like the audio that they had set down their tape recorder and type thing for.
Yeah, of course.
So that was interesting. And a lot of the questions they were asking the surviving members were things that, John Bonham had answered in interviews prior to 1980. So it shows, though, each band member and how it starts with like how they got to where they learned that music is what they want to do, and their introduction.
Music is a weapon.
Yeah, their introduction to music and their chosen instruments and things like that. And they all have wildly different backgrounds and families that thought of it differently. Not all of them had people that supported their quest and their ideas. And it talked about how they grew up, got involved in it, how Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones really took to it, and they were supported in it, and they had success and were these like very sought after and highly successful studio musicians who played on movies and soundtracks and every album for every band that you could think of. Meanwhile, John Bonham and Robert Plant kind of had to make their way in the music scene, jump from different bands and make a name for themselves. And then it's all about how these four came together to form a band of two friends, like two groups of two friends, and they came together to do the second iteration of the Yardbirds and become Led Zeppelin and be the biggest band of all time ever. And it follows then their first two albums, the creation of the first two albums, where they can establish who they are and what Led Zeppelin is. So if you're expecting to see things from like the song Remains the Same or anything from Led Zeppelin 3 or Zoso or Houses of the Holy or Physical Graffiti or anything after that, it's not there. This is all how they were a band being created and on the rise to being the biggest band on the planet. And so once you get to something like Led Zeppelin 3, where it is established that there's not a band bigger or louder than Led Zeppelin, then that's kind of where this documentary ends. But it's more interesting than I really expected it to be. And it was really interesting to get to hear these new interviews and actually get it from them. And especially hearing the audio from John Bonham and being able to see, like they talk about the bands that influence them. You get to see and hear those. You get to see a lot of the stuff that they were involved in as the studio musicians.
So here's my question to you. Like, watching this versus watching some of these biopics, would you find this more entertaining?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because this too, there's a couple of like music video type situations where they have upscaled and restored footage.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Like live.
It's like seeing that one clip from Deep Space Nine. You're like, oh, this is what it could have been.
Yeah. So they do like kind of like behind the scenes, like different camera angles of sets they performed in different places. So you get to see them do a song or two in this like British studio. You get to see like this song where they went and played in Scandinavia. So there's a few instances where you get a complete song played that's showing their progression and how they're all working together. And it was versions of these songs that I've never heard, and that's
pretty cool.
I've probably heard almost everything Led Zeppelin.
So you got a little bit of freshness.
Yeah. So even as someone who was very, very into Zeppelin until I was probably getting into my 30s, there were parts of this that I did not know, and songs that I had not heard those versions
That's cool.
of.
So there's something for fans, and
it tells you everything you need to know if you're someone that's coming in having never been a fan, but it has plenty there for people who have spent their life listening to Led Zeppelin
and still get a little bit of something new.
Yeah, and
That's cool.
It's not too much because it's not following them, and it doesn't get into any of like the unsavory stuff or anything like that. It doesn't have them.
It keeps it.
Yeah, it doesn't have
fun.
them shitting in anyone's shoes or slapping women's butts
girls
with fish that they caught out of the hotel windows. It doesn't have them just banging every chick they can on tour. It doesn't have anything that's not PG in it, really. But that's the whole thing. It was how they were becoming the biggest band.
They're like, not what happened after the fact.
Not the ridiculous antics they got where they became rock gods, right? Like when they were just like, well, we are
abuse of power,
the unstoppable force of Led Zeppelin. So it was really interesting, and it was touching at times, and it was good to be able to see and hear things that hadn't been previously available. And I think that it was much better than any biopic could have been, because it was
factual
the real
stuff,
deal with the real people.
That's cool.
And you get enough of them, video footage of them in the time periods, talking and interviewing, and radio audio, that you get a story out of it, and you don't need the
embellishments,
movie embellishments and embellishments and fake. That's all there. So yeah, it was very enjoyable.
Well, it's out there in about 940 theaters nationwide, probably soon to drop after this weekend because there's a lot of stuff coming out. But it did come in currently last weekend at number 12, bringing in about almost $1 million this week at the box office. So, not bad for a documentary. Documentaries don't normally do very well at the box office, and it did, it's made over $7 million at the box office. So pretty good for a documentary. But with that said, I'm going to turn things back over to Jake for the top 10. We're going to do the top 10 movies in the U.S. and their box office reports. We like to tell you what made money and what didn't, because that's how you follow the money. You follow the money and you can determine what's going to get more of, what's going to get green light, where we're going to get sequels, we're not going to get sequels. So Jake's going to give you the top 10 movies in America for the last weekend, February 21st through 23rd, 2025. And then, and then we will hit it and probably do some post-show stuff for our Twitch viewers. And then, so Jake, you want to take it over for number 10?
Yeah. Coming in at number 10, surprising to see that it's still out after 6 weeks. One of them days, 1.4 million brought in for it. It's brought in just under 46 million as its big total. And then at number 9, surprising to see, I did see that we had this movie listed, but I hadn't seen the first one. Neja 2, the current biggest film of 2025, had its second week out here in U.S. theaters, brought in $2 million, bringing it up to just under 14 here in the U.S.
It's got a pretty good per theater average.
Yeah, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, it has already crossed the $1 billion. It's the first 2025 $1 billion movie already. That's like a global thing. So if you want to check that out, take your kids to see it. You can get in on something maybe sort of cool. And then opening at the number 8 spot, with old Shazam dude, The Unbreakable Boy, just under 2.4 million brought in by it for its opening gross.
Yikes.
Rough. And then at number 7, 10 weeks out from Disney, Mufasa the Lion King, 2.5 million brought in by that one, 245 million in the U.S., 453.7 million elsewhere. It has just under 700 million as its total. And then at number 6, a movie that I want to watch this.
Is it playing around here?
Yes.
Okay.
I've tried to watch it this weekend and I could not find a time that worked because they only have 1 or 2 showings.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
From Yash Raj Films, which I didn't realize, which makes me want to watch it even more. The trailer for this is so cool. Chava. 2.7 million brought in by that one, bringing it up to just under 5 million here in the U.S. so far. It is an Indian movie. It's a period piece. It's all about like, just turbans and swords and
all the stuff you love.
Indian action. It looks super rad. At number 5, Heart Eyes, dropping from the number 3 spot in its third week out. $2.7 million brought in by that, bringing it up to 26.6 million bucks. I figured that one would have higher numbers.
I thought it was going to do a little bit better than it did.
That's not bad for
30 million's
horror
not
movies
bad,
and stuff most of the
I
time.
thought Valentine's Day was gonna pack it on, but it didn't.
I really thought that movie would have higher
legs.
Yeah, there's not really a better horror option that's been out for any amount of time.
Not at all. Companion, and that was a couple weeks ago, and it's still
Companion's
still it was like number 15.
We still had it here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but with that one being the big
It's in 3,000
movie,
theaters. Yeah,
the big slasher, because Companion's like psychological too.
Yeah.
I think it has slasher elements, right? Like the robots kill people, but like Heart Eyes, you know what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
But then holding strong at number 4, Dogman, and its 4th week out. So 444 for all you Angels number people out there. 5.9 million brought in by that one. 78.7. Good job, Dav Pilkey. Another 26 elsewhere in the world, bringing it up to 105 million bucks for that one. And then at number 3, Paddington in Peru, 2nd week out, 6.5 million bucks.
I feel like Paddington in Peru just didn't get a lot of
I did not see an ad
advertising.
for it.
Yeah,
I did not see a single ad
and
for it.
we're always looking at movie ads, and it's not like, well, it was a kids movie and the algorithm. Like, no, I
but
see.
the Paddington movies have been so huge. Like, I guess I didn't read Paddington or really know about it, but those movies have been so massive because so many people have grown up with it. It's like just this massive thing in Britain. But I did not see any ads for Paddington in Peru. I didn't even know it was out until I saw that it was listed as a movie.
The rest of the world knows it's out, though.
125 million in internationally, yeah, so 150 million for that one. I've never heard anything but good things about the Paddington movies. Movies are sucking right now. I saw a handful of ads on YouTube. Maybe that's part of it. I'm paid to not have ads on my stream and stuff. And then if you'll click back on the...
Oh, yeah, sorry.
At number 2, The Monkey. 14 million brought in by that one for Stephen King's killer animatronics or whatever that movie is.
It's not killer animatronics.
Is it not like the Symbol Monkey?
Yeah, it is, but it's cursed.
Oh, so killer animatronic.
Yeah.
It's not killer animatronics. It's just an animatronic that kills people because it's cursed. So it's not the robot doing the killing. It's the cursed soul within the robot.
Yeah.
And then at number 1, holding the number 1 spot, despite the fact that everyone that has seen it has just shit on it. Captain America, Brave New World, $28 million because no one else has anything else to watch. That's brought it up to $141 million, which I'm sure Disney is very pissed about.
I mean, $141 million for what I'm sure, I think they said was like, what was the box?
Just under 150 elsewhere.
Yeah.
So it's grossed almost $300 million totally.
But I mean, at the distribution budget on that.
For something that says Captain America on it.
And it's crazy.
But at the same time, I don't know how many people watch the Disney Plus Falcon and Bucky show. And when you say Captain America, globally people are expecting
Cap.
Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Like they want Captain America. And I guess in this one, a lot of people are like, dude, it's just the dumbest thing because he's like Falcon with Black Panther tech and an Ant-Man helmet and Captain America shield. So it's like, what superhero is he supposed to be? Like he's like a amalgamation crap character that isn't one thing. And so if it's not one thing, it's not enough to keep that attention. So I don't know. I did not hear anything good. And like,
It's not great.
Bucky's in it for just a second.
It's not great.
And I guess not to give you spoilers if you plan to watch it, but I really
not great.
hope that you don't. Like, friggin' Harrison Ford just like gives up and turns himself in at the end or
Well,
something
because
like
Betty,
that.
Betty beats all Hulks, so that's how it goes down. But anyway, that's your
What
box
about
office.
Betty Hulk? She turns into a Red Hulk in the comics.
Well, that's probably on the way. But anyway, there's your box office. That's it. We're done. We did it. We finished her up. We'll be back next week. Don't forget to download this podcast. Feel like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you like and subscribe. Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube. You choose. You can find us over on our Discord. You can do all that kind of stuff. But if you are following us on Twitch, we do stuff. We do a pre-show, and sometimes we stick around and do some stuff after the show, which we're going to do here in just a moment. But anyway, we will catch you guys. Let's see. I think I should be. I'm leaving town Wednesday. I'm going to St. Louis for the Haunted Attraction and Christmas Trade Show event in St. Louis. But I should be back. Sunday. So I think I'll be here for Monday. I don't know if I'm going to have time to see a movie though. But that's Jake's job. So
yep, I'll find something. Also, real quick, pre-orders for Lord of the Rings Steelbook Collector 4K Edition is up. On Amazon. They'll be coming out in about a week or so. So if you want to get in on that, they have reduced the prices so you can save like $35 off the $170 price tag. But if you love Lord of the Rings, also we're getting Lord of the Rings live with Billy Boyd here, local near us.
what?
Yeah. So if you want to see Lord of the Rings play music live near you, check that out. Billy Boyd will be singing songs with it, and we will have them here in Fort Smith at Temple Live.
Right on. Well, cool, guys. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.
See ya.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.